Jacksonville became unglued.
Did it remind you of Cincinnati a couple of years ago?
Exactly. Not to that monumental failure, but very similar to that. Basically, it seemed like Jacksonville was just handing them chances to get back into the game and to win the game. It was amazing.
What made me feel nervous was I think it was on the interception he threw in the end zone when he was trying to hit Switzer, and the guy grabbed Switzer's helmet and basically took him down. I'm thinking, if you're Pittsburgh, and of course, and us fans, you're thinking this isn't a good position to be in after how many times have they gotten burned by penalties that weren't really penalties? How ironic is it going to be on an obvious penalty to potentially lose the game on a non-call?
Yeah.
When they reviewed it. And, that right there was, to me, it was another sign that, hey, maybe the football gods are reversing the tide against us this time.
Yeah.
And then was it another one after that one in the corner of the end zone? Is that what that was?
I think so. Yeah, when Jacksonville had the ball that last time with like 2 or 3 minutes left, I unfortunately said I predicted that Ben would either throw an interception in the end zone or that Boswell would miss a kick or something like that. I just had a feeling that it wasn't the Steelers' day, and technically Ben did throw an interception. It just got called back. But and then time is running out. There's, I don't know, what was it? I think about 8 seconds left, and they're on like the 1 yard line or the half yard line or something like that. And Ben rolls out, and he's just if there was a competition where all the quarterbacks in the league would line up and they would run a 40-yard dash, I guarantee Ben would be the slowest one. He just, when he runs, it's just painful to watch. It's like seeing a sloth move around or something. But he gets in. He just through sheer will, he gets in. It reminded me of and I know his idol is John Elway. It reminded me of that one Super Bowl that Elway was in where I think it was against Green Bay that Elway just launched himself and he twirled around like a helicopter in the air, but he was just so, determined to win that he would just launch himself in the air like that. So yeah, that was just amazing. And I mean, if they didn't make that, if they stopped Ben short there, it would have been real debatable whether they would have had time. I know they had one timeout left, but it would have been real debatable whether they would have had time to even call that timeout.
That's, I was thinking the same thing. If he's not in, I mean, there is no way, I don't think, because he's got to get up and actually call timeout, or somebody else, may not have had the presence of mind because they're all staring at it thinking, man, we just come up a half inch short. So yeah. You're probably right about that.
Yeah. And I mean, talk about inches. I mean, he barely got in, but
thank God he's 6'5".
Exactly. If he was 6'4", they would have had a problem. Oh man, I'm still in shock. Yeah, what do you think this means for this team and this season going forward? What do you think this will do for them?
Well, for one, to me, it proves now the defense. I've been saying all year on Full Press Coverage podcast and Parker Hurley, the guy who hosts it, we've been saying this defense is a work in progress. There's 7 different moving parts. They've got to learn how to work, learn how to play together. And today, that defense came together. They did, I think, what everybody envisioned that we hoped they could do against, maybe not a great offense, but that doesn't matter because they still made the plays when they had to. So having said that, it was a total team effort all the way across the board, and it's the kind of win that can really galvanize a team that has visions of winning a Super Bowl. I mean, to me, this was their statement win. They've had some good wins. They beat Baltimore. They came back and beat Cincinnati. They got revenge on Cleveland. They beat a good Tampa Bay team, that was off to a hot start. But this, to me, was their statement win. They exercised demon because evidently this team was still in their heads in the first half. But they shook free of that. And now they're sitting in a position where they're 7-2. They own the division pretty much. I mean, they control their own destiny there. They set themselves up to move up as a number 2 seed, and get a home playoff game in the first round bye. So to me, what they've done is they've conquered about 3 different demons with today's game, and they did it on the road. And to me, that was huge.
In many ways, you could think of this game as a microcosm of the whole season. Terrible starts, Ben looking awful, and then them figuring it out and pulling ahead. That's a lot like this season. The defense in the beginning of the season, wow. I mean, yeah, okay, they were okay against Cleveland, but that was to me that game doesn't count because of the conditions and stuff. But
right.
But then they play Kansas City, and I was at that game, and the defense is just they looked as bad as they did in January against Jacksonville in that playoff game, where the other team just scored at will. They scored whenever they felt like it and however they felt like it. And then against that first game against Baltimore, didn't look so great either. But ever since then, the defense has really come together. They've figured it out. And hey, kudos to Butler or Tomlin or whatever happened to cause that defense to get it together. But it was always an assumption of, well, the offense is just going to have to get us through the, we're just going to have to outscore every team. Like, every game is going to be like each team in the 30s, and we'll just hope for the best. But now the defense is starting to put it together.
You said it exactly right. It is a microcosm of the season, this game today. And as they've progressed to this point, so has the game ended in that same fashion. Like you said, the defense is coming together. And guys like Bostic, and Burnett, they're not flashy signings, but what they were was they filled 2 roles that the Steelers desperately needed to fill. They're sure tacklers, and they're guys who can communicate and set the defense up and put them into the right positions. And, Burnett's first game back, I mean, to be honest, he was horrible.
Yeah.
But, that's understandable. He really hadn't played in the system yet. But now it's coming together. And today, I mean, you didn't hear his name, you didn't hear Bostic's name, but that's kind of a good thing because it means neither one of them really got exploited. And if you're sitting here as a Steeler fan today and you don't have hope that this team could really be a Super Bowl team, and you're going to keep dwelling that, this guy needs to be fired and, it's all Tomlin's fault, frankly, you're an idiot.
Yeah.
Once they started executing, they look like they're the best team in the AFC up there with the Kansas City Chiefs. And that's really what you want to see. It's not, like I say, it's not how you start, it's how you finish. And they're setting themselves up for one heck of a finish, and it could be super.
Yeah. I mean, whatever you want to say about Tomlin or whatever at the beginning of the season, because it looked like a mess. It looked like a huge mess on the defense and the offense. Hey, look at it now. You got to give them credit. If you're going to blame them when things go bad, you got to credit them when things go well. They figured it out. And I don't know. I mean, basically your top 4 are in the AFC. Chiefs number 1, then I guess New England, or maybe San Diego, then maybe the Steelers, or maybe New England isn't that good. I don't know. But I think the Steelers have a definite shot at that number 2 seed right now. And it could be something special. Where do you think right now the top teams in the AFC are?
Honestly, I mean, you have to go with Kansas City. I mean, they've done nothing to disprove that they're the top seed. And right now, if you're going by records, it would probably be the Chargers. But when you look at performance on the field, there's a lot of teams out there that don't want to see the Steelers have a good defense because, as they proved today, you can shut the offense down for a bit, but you're never going to stop them, and they're going to find a way. And honestly, right now, I'd have to put Pittsburgh as the second best team in the AFC. But I have a lot more confidence now than I did when they first played them that they could compete and potentially knock off Kansas City.
Yeah. I think the team in week 2 is a lot different than the team now, and I wonder what the biggest factor in the defense is. Honestly, I think not having Artie Burns out there helps a lot because I think he contributed a lot to the not the miscommunication of the whole defense, but he just looked lost out there. And that can't help when you have a weak link, especially at cornerback. The communication looks very much improved. The tackling looks much improved. It just looks so much better out there for them.
And even today with a lot of Fournette's carries, I mean, they make contact with him close to the line of scrimmage on a lot of occasions. But, like I say, you got to give him credit too, because as much as everybody praises Connor for always falling forward and getting extra yards after contact, I mean, Fournette did the exact same thing. So we can't say, well, the defense had a bad job tackling early. There's 4 or 5 guys trying to bring the guy down, and Fournette just, he was determined. But obviously it was those 4 and 5 guys that seemed to wear him down, where he didn't have a whole lot left in the second half. So, I think a lot of it's perspective. When the Steelers are doing great, it's hard not to say, hey, these guys are Super Bowl champion material. And at the same time, when they're not playing so well, you shouldn't be saying that they're the worst team in the league either. I mean, water finds its own level, and just like this defense will, only I think this defense hasn't even come close to peaking yet, which, like I say, I think a lot of teams in the AFC should be scared about that. And, you can't write any team off now within the top 4 like New England. New England's still going to be a threat, but I think Pittsburgh's a lot more capable of dealing with those threats now.
Yeah. I don't think New England is as strong as they've been in previous seasons, so I think there's a potential to take them out. And then that game San Diego and Pittsburgh, that could be the game that determines the second seed. So very exciting. This was a huge win. They found a way, and it was amazing. So how's things going at Pittsburgh Sports Zone?
I got a lot of plans for it. It was Steelers Zone up until last May, and we branched out, decided to cover all the Pittsburgh sports teams. With my involvement at Steeler Wire, I haven't been able to contribute as much to it as I'd like, but things are progressing in the right direction a little bit slowly, but they're progressing, and I got high hopes for it.
Oh, you write for Steelers Wire too?
Yeah.
Oh wow, that's awesome. That's
Yeah, I didn't think I had a shot there, but I was pleasantly surprised, and I'm enjoying it. It's a whole different style than what I'm used to, but like I say, I'm truly enjoying that. And I guess in that regard that it's taken a lot more of my time. But as far as Steelers Pittsburgh Sports Zone goes, always looking for some good writers to cover these teams. And try to grow that brand as well.
There you go. Let him know. He's at Brian_Harker SW on Twitter. Brian, thank you so much. Great stuff. Hope to have you on again soon.
I'd be honored, and I appreciate the opportunity to come on and talk with you because and you got a pretty good podcast going here.
Thank you. And so you gotta have your own gotta get your own podcast going, huh?
I'm starting to work on that. It's if I can make it half as good as this one is, I got to tell you, I'll be happy.
Oh, thank you so much. All right, I'll talk to you later.
You have a good one.
You too. Okay, now let's review the weekend's NFL action and whatever comes up.